Hi guys, tonight we're leaving behind the modern world, the alarms, the deadlines, and the glowing rectangles in our hands. Instead, you'll wake up barefoot in a thatched hut deep inside the Maya jungle. You're not scrolling TikTok, you're rolling tamales. You're not sipping coffee, you're sipping bitter cacao, thick as honey. The air is hot, and your skin glistens with humidity. Around you, people move to the rhythm of rituals and stars. You can smell the smoke of burning copal resin and hear the priest chanting somewhere behind the trees. Tonight's story will carry you into a world where calendars could predict eclipses, but no one had invented soap, where stone pyramids reached the sky, but most people never left their village. Could you live a day like this? Could you kneel on hot stones to watch your brother play a sacred ball game that might cost him his life? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're listening from somewhere special, leave a comment. I always love hearing where and when you're tuning in. Now dim the lights, lower the AC, pull the blanket up, and let's step gently into tonight's journey. Let's begin. Section 1. Waking up in the jungle. You wake up to the sound of birds screaming. Not tweeting, not chirping, screaming. This is not your soft city dawn. This is the jungle. And in the Maya world, the jungle never truly sleeps. Your hammock creaks gently beneath you as you blink away the mist of dreams. The sky above the thatched roof is still blue-gray, painted with early morning fog. Sunlight filters through palm leaves and smoke drifting in from the hearth. You hear your mother, shifting in the corner, already stirring a pot of water with tamale dough, the sound soft as wet cloth. Your room, if you can call it that, is one large chamber shared with everyone. No walls, no privacy, just woven mats gourds stacked neatly in baskets and your little sister's ragged clay doll staring blankly at you from across the dirt floor. There is no clock, but the jungle tells time better than any device. You know the shriek of the howler monkey means it's nearly dawn. You know the cicadas will rise in chorus soon, and then the air will grow thick and hot and heavy like walking through someone's breath. You rise slowly, brushing dried leaves off your legs. The hammock has left lines on your skin, and your back aches from the twisted posture of the night. You're only 14, but already your body knows the weight of sleeping on tensioned rope and mosquito bites. Stepping outside the village looks like a postcard painted with dirt and sun. Thatched homes squat low and uneven. Smoke curls from every roof. The air smells of burned wood, sweat, and crushed herbs. Children are already chasing each other barefoot around a pile of maize. An old man squats next to a pile of obsidian blades, sharpening them with rhythmic clicks. Chickens run wild, pecking at unseen scraps beneath the banana trees. Your breath fogs slightly. Not because it's cold, it's never cold, but because the humidity clings to your lungs like a damp cloth. You walk barefoot across warm stones, avoiding the patches where ants make angry trails. You can feel the dew still clinging to leaves, hear it drip in slow, fat drops from vines overhead. Somewhere in the distance, a jaguar coughs a low, wet sound like a throat clearing in the trees. You pause, just for a second. You've never seen a jaguar, but you've seen its paw prints in the mud near the cenote, and you've heard the priest say it walks between worlds day and night, life and death, a sacred animal, a silent threat. Back in the house, your mother hands you a small clay cup of something warm and bitter, cacao. Thick, unsweetened, laced with chili. You sip carefully, feeling it burn a path down your throat. The gods you've been told love cacao. And if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you, even if it makes your tongue sting and your eyes water. Breakfast is quiet. Just you, your family, and the soft pop of corn cooking on the griddle stone. Your father tears a leaf-wrapped tamale in half and gives you the bigger piece. You try not to look too grateful. This is a day like many others, and yet not quite. Today you are going to the temple. Today you will begin your training as a glyph reader, a future scribe, maybe even a priest, Your fingers, still dirty from sleep, will soon hold a stylus made from bone and dipped in charcoal. You will trace the curves of gods, dates, serpents, and stars. Your world is about to change. But for now, you just chew slowly, watching steam rise from your tamale. Outside, the village stirs louder. Women grind maize on stone metates. Boys wrestle in the mud. Somewhere, a flute begins to play a thin, hollow sound that drifts like smoke above the roofs. You watch your neighbors paint their faces for a ritual, dipping fingers in red ochre and black soot. You don't know what the ritual is for, but you know not to ask. Not today. You will find out soon enough. You look at your hands, calloused, small, still growing, but today they will write the name of a god. You don't know yet what hardship lies ahead, the bloodletting, the dreams, the storms, the Spanish. But this moment, this soft, smoky morning in the Maya village, it is yours. Section 2. Breakfast with the Ancestors. You sit cross-legged on a woven reed mat, the tamale warm in your palm, steam curling from its corn husk wrapping. You unwrap it gently, like a gift. Not because it's fancy, it's the same thing you eat every morning, but because food here is sacred. Everything in your village begins and ends with maize. Your ancestors say you were made from it, not metaphorically, literally. According to the Popol Vuh, the gods tried making humans from mud, from wood, but they failed. Only when they used maize did people finally live, speak, dream. So every meal is more than just food. It's a quiet act of worship. The tamale is soft and bland. No cheese, no sauce, just dough and a strip of wild greens folded inside. But you chew slowly, reverently. As you eat, your mother hums an old tune, something wordless and circular, like a lullaby for grown-ups. Your father eats with one hand, the other absent-mindedly sharpening his obsidian-tipped spear with a piece of leather. It's still early. Outside, dew collects in silver beads on banana leaves. The smoke from breakfast fires hangs low like morning fog. Chickens scratch at the dirt beside you, pecking at imaginary crumbs. Somewhere, a child is crying, probably stepped on an anthill again. Across the hut, in a small clay pot by the wall, sits an offering for the ancestors: 3 pieces of tamale, a bit of cacao, and a few white flowers. No one touches it. That's for the dead. You've always found this part both comforting and strange. The idea that your great-grandmother might still be nearby, watching, listening, maybe even hungry. Sometimes, late at night, when the wind whistles through the thatch, you wonder if the dead eat spirit food the way you eat real food. You once asked your grandmother what would happen if you stole the offering. She just smiled and said, "Then they might get hungry and come looking." You never asked again. Your little brother waddles over, chewing a piece of corn tortilla far too big for his mouth. He tries to climb into your lap, smearing mesa on your knee. You let him. His skin is warm. His breath smells like smoke and sleep. Your family doesn't speak much during breakfast, not because you're unhappy, but because mornings are quiet by nature. Words are saved for the heat of the day when stories and gossip swirl like flies over fruit. The silence is filled instead by sound, natural living layered. The crackle of the cooking fire, the crunch of dry leaves under someone's feet, the rhythmic thump of your neighbor's stone grinder pounding corn into dough. Somewhere nearby, a parrot caws rude, loud as if offended by the sunrise. You finish your tamale and lick your fingers. There's no napkin, no soap. You wipe your hands on your thighs and then rinse them with a bit of leftover water from a gourd. The water tastes faintly of smoke and herbs. It's been boiled over the fire, poured through a cloth with charcoal and crushed bark. Good enough. As you stand, your mother catches your eye and gives a tiny nod. Not a smile, just a nod, but you feel it deep in your chest. Approval, pride. A reminder that today is important. She hands you a small bundle wrapped in banana leaf. Inside is a bit of crushed charcoal, a clay stylus, and a folded scrap of bark paper. Your first writing tools. They're not new, probably handed down from your cousin who left for the preschool last year, but they're yours now. Your father, without a word, reaches out and places a carved jade bead in your palm. It's smooth, cool, heavy for its size. For protection, he says, keep it hidden. You slip it into the cloth waistband of your tunic and nod. You don't say thank you. In your family, love is spoken in gestures, in shared food, in beads and bundles, and quiet glances. As you step outside, the sun has climbed just enough to light the tops of the temple steps. The jungle sings louder now. Frogs, birds, monkeys, all competing in a tangled choir. The heat is starting to rise slow and sticky like syrup over your skin. You walk down the dirt path that winds between huts. A woman waves a baby on her hip. An old man spits beetle juice into the grass and mutters something about the weather. A group of children race by with a ball made of tree sap and cloth, shouting in a rhythm older than language. You pass the censer smoke still rising from your neighbor's altar. You breathe deeply. It smells like sweet wood and prayers. And for a moment, just a moment, you feel the ancestors walking beside you. Silent, patient, watching the day begin again. Section 3. Home made of mud and palm. Your house doesn't have walls in the way you think of them. It has intentions. Palm leaves, tied tightly together, layered, so rain slides off like scales on a snake. Mud, straw, and clay packed into curves and corners molded more by hands than tools. It smells like ash-damp wood and something earthy like the breath of the jungle floor. This isn't a house built to last forever. It's built to breathe. The walls are low and rounded, hugging the earth like a child clinging to their mother. The floor is just dirt, swept daily, but never clean. There's no such thing as clean, not in the way the Spaniards will one day define it. Here, clean means free of ants, dry during storms, and warm enough to keep your bones from aching. Your roof is the best part. It soars above you like the underside of a bird's wing, thick with woven palms tied to wooden ribs, with vines that still smell faintly green. When it rains, and it rains often, the drops patter on the roof in rhythms so familiar you could hum along in your sleep. Sometimes it leaks, but only in places you've already memorized. You know which corner to avoid. You know which pot to place where. It's a dance you've learned since before you could walk. There are no doors, just draped cloth, made from cotton or bark paper flapping in the wind. Privacy is not a concept that fits in a Maya house. Everyone sees everything. You sleep within reach of your cousin's feet. You dream in the same air your grandmother snores in. You hear your uncle mutter to the gods in his sleep. It's not bothersome. It's just life. Shelves are just wooden boards wedged into the wall holding carved bowls. Obsidian shards, bone needles, and dried herbs bundled in twine. Some of them are labeled not with words, but with tiny carved figures: a snake for poison, a sun for heat, balm, a fish for fever medicine. You learned to read these long before you ever saw a glyph. The hearth sits in the center, always burning, always watched. Its ashes tell time, gray and soft in the morning, glowing red at night. Every morning your mother blows on the embers, feeds it dry leaves, and coaxes it back to life. Fire is not just heat, it is memory. It carries the breath of yesterday into today. Hanging from a beam is a net made of twisted agave fiber, where dried squash and beans sway like sleeping bats. Beneath it, a three-legged stool carved from cedar, polished smooth by 1,000 thighs, waits for your grandfather, who always mutters that it's still not as good as the one he had in his youth. Your sleeping space is nothing more than a tightly woven hammock hung diagonally between two posts. In cold weather, which is rare, you pile more woven mats underneath. Pillows only if you count a bundled tunic or your own arm. In the far corner is a small shrine. It's just a carved stone and a clay figurine of Chak, the rain god, but it's where your family whispers their wishes. Sometimes you light a bit of copal resin and let the smoke rise in spirals, hoping the gods are in a listening mood. Everything in your home has a story. The crack in the corner, beam made during the last big storm. The gourd with the chipped rim. It fell during your brother's naming ceremony. The low notch near the doorway. That's where your cousin measured her height every season, until she went away to join the healers. Your house holds memories the way trees hold rings. It's small, humble, sometimes smoky, but it's never just a shelter. It's the place where you first learned to speak, where you were taught how to grind corn and tie knots and recognize the angry buzz of wasps before they strike. It's where you watched your mother cry when your uncle didn't return from the forest, where your father painted your face before the eclipse ceremony, where you once dreamed of flying like a quetzal and woke up with a feather stuck in your hair, probably from the parrot, but still, you wondered. Your home doesn't have a lock, but it has layers of protection, family gods, and the careful eyes of neighbors. If something went missing, the whole village would know before sunset. If you were sick, someone would bring herbs. If you were silent too long, someone would knock on your pole with the butt of a broom. No one is ever truly alone in a Maya house. As you step out again, the sunlight hits your eyes like a warning. The heat is beginning to rise in earnest. You squint and pull the woven cloth over your shoulder. Time to go. The scribe school won't wait, and your feet still need to cross the stream before the noon sun makes the rocks too hot to touch. You take one last look at your home, the palm roof, the clay walls, the smoke curling from the hearth, and for a moment you wonder what it might be like to sleep in a stone building, but only for a moment. Section 4. Clothing and Jewelry. You dress in cotton, not the soft, bleached kind from the market stalls of modern cities, but the coarse, hand-spun, sun-dried fabric made right here in your village. It smells faintly of smoke and river water. It's stiff at first, but softens with wear like skin, thickening after long walks barefoot. Your tunic is plain, a loose sleeveless shirt called a hui peel, woven by your aunt on a backstrap loom. Its pattern is simple: 2 horizontal bands and 1 row of little diamond shapes across the chest. The diamonds aren't just for decoration. They mean sky eyes. They watch over you in case your real eyes forget something important. You pull on a wraparound skirt, next cinched with a woven sash that's been passed down from your cousin. It's faded in places and smells faintly of lime and sweat. It's also far too long, so you fold it twice and pray it doesn't unravel halfway to school. Maya clothes don't come with buttons. Everything is tied, tucked, or wrapped, and nothing is made in silence. Every garment you wear has been sung into being. Weaving in your village is a sacred act. Women sing to Ishil, the moon goddess of weaving, while they work soft, looping songs that stretch as long as the fabric itself. Your feet go bare, always. You've seen sandals, leather ones from traders in the big city, but no one in your house owns a pair. You don't need them, your father says. You need calluses, and you have plenty of those. Before you leave, your mother calls you over. She takes a bit of red ochre ground from the same stone used to paint the temple walls and dabs it gently on your cheeks. Then, with a sharpened twig, she lines a dark curve along your jaw using soot and plant ash. It tickles. You look strong now, she says, squinting at your face. Strong is good. Strong means protected. Strong means the gods might notice you and approve. Your jewelry is modest but meaningful. Around your neck is a string of beads, a mix of bone, shell, and jade. One of the jade beads, the smallest, with a crack down its side, was your grandmother's. It's cool against your skin, but not cold. It's been worn so often it's memorized the shape of family. In your earlobes, tiny hoops made of bone. You barely notice them now, but you remember the burning pain the day they were pierced, a rite of passage, when you turned 12. You didn't cry, not in front of your uncle, but your eyes stung for reasons that had little to do with pain. You knew, even then, that something was being left behind. On your wrists, fiber bands dyed with crushed berries and fire ash. On your ankle, a single shell anklet that clinks when you walk too fast, which is exactly why your brother loves to sneak up behind you. Jewelry here isn't just decoration. It speaks. It tells stories. A certain shell means your cousin is promised to someone. A specific bone carving marks a boy who has fasted for a week and spoken to spirits in a cave. A jade disc pinned in someone's hair. That's someone who's met the priest and returned with knowledge. Your jewelry doesn't say much yet, but it will. Not everyone in the village wears the same. Farmers dress for work, tunics stained with corn dust and sweat. Warriors wear heavier cotton, sometimes quilted, and padded to stop obsidian blades. And the nobles? Well, you've seen them from afar. Their clothes shimmer with colors you've only glimpsed in feathers, deep turquoise electric yellow, a kind of impossible green that looks like parrot wings in motion. The priest's assistant wears a belt of carved teeth. Not human, you hope. The midwife wears dozens of necklaces, each with a different herb or charm. You once asked her why. She replied, "Every child is born through a door, and some doors are guarded." You believe her. Hair is part of the outfit too. You part yours in the middle and tie it into two tight braids. Some days your mother threads bits of dyed string through them, red for energy, blue for rain, white for sleep. Today, she leaves it plain. Your face in the water this morning looked older, or maybe just more serious. You wonder how many people have looked at their own reflections in this same stream, wearing these same patterns, these same beads for 1,000 years. When you step outside dressed and painted, you feel different. Not taller, not stronger, but steadier, like a stone that's been shaped by hands and sun and time. A neighbor smiles and waves. Her nose ring glints in the sun. Behind her, a group of boys argue over who gets to wear the feathered headdress for the ball game. They chase each other, their bone necklaces clacking like wind chimes. You adjust your sash. Feel the weight of the jade bead against your collarbone, and take a deep breath. The air smells like resin, smoke, and sweat, and you smell like history. Section 5. School of Glyphs and Stars. You've never stepped foot inside a school with walls. But you've known your teachers since you were small. The man who names eclipses, the woman who traces comets in the dirt with her cane. The old priest who can draw the word for jaguar without lifting his stylus. The school is a shaded platform near the East Temple, raised on stone-roofed, with palm open to the wind. There are no desks, no chalkboards, no bells. Only slabs of bark paper, polished obsidian inkstones, and the faint scent of crushed copal lingering from a morning ritual. You sit cross-legged on the ground, your bundle of writing tools in your lap. The scribe instructor, old blind in one eye, sharp as obsidian in the other, nods as you approach. His back is curved like a crescent moon. His voice is low, like thunder you feel in your bones, but barely hear. He doesn't greet you, he tests you. What is the day name, he asks. You freeze. It's a trick question. There are two calendars. One counts the sacred cycle, 260 days. The other counts the solar year, 365 days. Both turn like gears fitting into each other with maddening complexity. You breathe. Today is 3 EB, you say. In the Hob, it's the 6th day of the month, Pop. He doesn't nod. He simply turns away, which in his language means you may sit. So you sit. Around you are other children, mostly boys, some girls. Everyone sits in silence. It's not a silence of fear, more like reverence. You are sitting at the edge of time. Every lesson you learn here will be carved into walls, recorded in codices, whispered into ears not yet born. The instructor claps once, sharp and dry. It echoes through the temple stones. Today, he says we draw what we worship. He picks up a stick and carves in the dust a vertical line, then two half-loops, a dada bar, a curling tongue. It's Amna, he says, god of writing, of knowledge, of the sky. You stare at the shape. It doesn't look like a god. It looks like a lizard doing math. But when he adds the final swirl, something clicks. Suddenly it becomes alive. A face hidden in the loops, an idea hiding in plain sight. Glyphs are like that. They are pictures, but they're also words, sounds, whole stories packed into a curve of ink. Today you are allowed to try. You unwrap your stylus, just a sharpened bone tip, and dip it into ink made of crushed soot and resin. You draw slowly, tongue between your teeth, hand trembling. Your first glyph is for sun. It's a circle with rays, simple. Then blood, a droplet curling into a spiral. You don't know why it needs to spiral, but it always does. Then child, a head, a tiny dot for an open mouth, and beside it, fear an eye that doesn't blink. By mid-morning, your hands are stained with ink, and your eyes burn from the focus. You've only drawn 4 glyphs, but they feel heavier than anything you've ever carried. The priest arrives before noon. He says nothing. He simply walks past barefoot, trailing the scent of smoke and honey. Every child bows as he passes, even the instructor. The priest is not just a teacher. He is a bridge between time and people, between gods and villagers. He stops near you, looks down at your messy glyphs. Who taught you to shape fear like that, he asks. You look up terrified. I guessed. He smiles just barely. Then your guessing is better than most knowing. He walks on. Your chest thuds with something that is not quite pride, more like awe. After he leaves, the instructor claps again. Break. Observe the sky. Always watch the sky. You lie back on the stone platform, letting the warmth seep into your shoulders. The sun is high now, glaring through wisps of clouds. Somewhere far above, a hawk spirals. To the Maya, the sky is not empty. It is crowded with stories, with warnings, with questions. The stars aren't decorations. They're maps. Venus means war. The Pleiades mean change. The Milky Way. That's the path the dead take, crossing the Crocodile River to the next world. You've learned to read stars, like your uncle reads footprints. You know that if Mars appears redder than usual, something bad is coming. You know that on certain days, the sun rises directly above the village, casting no shadow, a sign that the gods are standing directly over you. The instructor taps his cane against the stone. Next time, he says, you will write your own name in glyphs, and if you get it wrong, he lets the sentence hang. You don't want to know the ending. As the class ends, you gather your tools, careful not to smudge your work. The wind picks up, rustling the palm roof above you. Someone hums a song behind you, a soft chant about a jaguar who swallowed the moon. You've heard it before. Every Maya child has. You walk back down the steps, slowly, stylus tucked into your sash, ink-stained fingers curled into a fist. You may not be a scribe yet, but you've just spoken to the gods, and they listened. Section 6. A visit to the cenote. The path to the cenote is narrow and half swallowed by vines. You've walked it so many times, your feet know where to land before your eyes do. The jungle is dense here, greener than you thought green could be, with leaves the size of your torso and tree roots that twist like sleeping serpents across the trail. You carry a gourd slung across your shoulder. It's light now. Soon it won't be. Beside you walks your older cousin Khan. He says little. He never says much, but he knows this jungle like it's part of his own skin. He stops, suddenly raises one hand. You freeze. Spider monkey, he whispers, pointing up. You look, squinting into the canopy. There, a flicker of movement, a tail curling like smoke, a pair of dark eyes watching. Then it's gone. You breathe again. Animals are messengers. Everyone knows that. Sometimes they carry omens. Sometimes they carry stories. Sometimes they just throw fruit at your head. The path dips, the trees part. And there it is, the cenote. A sinkhole, deep and round, lined with slippery stone and trailing vines. Water so clear it looks like glass, so deep it looks like time. The air around it is cooler, heavy with silence, the kind that isn't empty, but listening. You've never liked coming here alone. Your grandmother says cenotes are mouths to the underworld, that the gods listen at the bottom, bored and hungry. You always look twice at your reflection here, just to make sure it's still yours. Khan kneels first, tying a cloth around his wrist before lowering the gourd. You follow. The water is far below 20, maybe 30 feet. You don't speak as you lower the gourd on a long rope, guiding it through vines and damp air. It lands with a soft splash. You wait for the bubbles to stop before pulling it back up, careful, steady, both hands gripping the rope as if it were a snake about to writhe. The water comes up cold, clear. You tie the gourd shut and pass it to Khan. Then you do it again, and again, until you've filled 3. It's not just water, it's sacred. It was never meant to be wasted. Every drop is watched by something below. On the stone ledge, someone has left an offering, a carved figurine, cracked, and moss covered its mouth open wide. Two obsidian flakes sit beside it, and something small and brown that might be a bird's heart dried by the sun. You don't touch it. This isn't a place for curiosity. It's a place for stillness. Khan finally speaks. When I was 7, he says I threw in a piece of cacao to ask the gods for better eyesight. You glance at him. Did it work? He shrugs. Not really, but I did dream of a snake with glasses once. You both laugh quietly. The sound bounces off the stone walls of the cenote and disappears into the sky. You finish tying the gourds together and lift them over your shoulder. The weight pulls at your spine, but you're used to it. It's a good kind of heavy, the kind that means you're bringing something valuable home. As you turn to leave, you notice something near the edge of the pool. A glint of jade, tiny, round, just beneath the water's surface. You crouch, reach, your fingers brush it cold and smooth. You lift it gently, a bead, probably part of someone's offering long ago, dislodged by time and rain. You look at Khan. He's already watching you. Put it back, he says. You hesitate, but you do. Not because you're scared, but because this water remembers everything. As you walk back toward the village, the jungle hums louder. Afternoon heat simmers in the leaves. Your feet slap against packed dirt. Sweat curls down your spine. Khan swings his gourd over his shoulder, then glances sideways. Tomorrow, he says, they say the priest might choose someone new for the fire ceremony. Your stomach flips. That's the one with blood. Real blood. Yours if you're picked. You nod, say nothing. The water sloshes softly in your gourd, a cold reminder against your back. And as you pass the final turn before the village, you glance once more toward the trees, half expecting to see that spider monkey again. But there's only shadow. Only the wind whispering things older than words. Section 7. Playing Puck-to-Puck. You hear it before you see it, the low, hollow thump of rubber against stone. Puck-to-Puck. It's not just a game. Not here, not ever. You round the corner of the village plaza and see them 4 boys, sweat-slicked and bare-chested, lunging across the stone court like dancers in battle. Their hips swing hard, slamming the ball back and forth. No hands, no feet, just hips, thighs, elbows, bodies moving like weapons. The ball is heavy, not some inflated thing tossed around for fun. It's solid rubber, black and dense, the size of a human head. And it hurts, you know. You've tried hitting it before your thigh turned purple for 2 days. You watch from the edge of the court, perched on a crumbling bench carved with jaguar motifs. The court itself is sacred, its walls slanted inward like 2 leaning mountains. At the top of each side, a stone ring high above the ground. No one aims for it. Not yet. That's for ceremony, for the real game. Today is just practice. But even practice here draws a crowd. Elder siblings, even traders passing through. Everyone stops to watch. Not because of entertainment, but because of meaning. Puck-to-Puck is the dance of the cosmos. It reenacts the battle between day and night, life and death. And some say if the priest deems the moment right, it can call the gods' attention. You feel Khan nudge your shoulder. You should join. You laugh and die. He grins. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. One of the boys slams the ball with his hip. It soars up, ricochets off the wall, and drops like a stone. Another player dives, just missing it. The ball bounces once, twice, then silence. A break. The players collapse onto the stone ledge, chests heaving. A woman brings them gourds of chaya tea, dark and bitter, cooling their tongues. One of them, a tall boy with a jaguar tooth on a necklace, notices you watching. You, he says, come here. You glance behind you, but there's no one else. You step forward. You've watched for weeks, he says. Now try. You freeze. He tosses you the ball. You're not ready. It hits your ribs, knocking the air from your lungs, then drops to your feet. The crowd laughs, not cruelly, more like a sibling seeing you trip over your own sandals. You pick it up, hand it back. "I'm a scribe," you mutter. The tall boy shrugs. "So was the last captain, before the gods took him." You sit again, trying not to show the ache in your side, because here's the secret everyone knows, but never says. In ceremonial matches, someone dies. Not always, not officially, but often enough. The captains of each team are honored, decorated, paraded, and then sometimes offered. The gods demand blood for balance, and the best blood is not from criminals. It's from the worthy. Some say the winners are sacrificed. Some say the losers. Truth is, it changes. What matters is that someone's heart ends up in a bowl. You've seen the altar before, at the end of the court. A low stone slab stained darker than the rest. You once touched it curious. It was warm, even in shade. The game resumes. You watch the boys leap, twist, sweat. You admire their strength, but also their fear. It hides behind their eyes, their clenched jaws, their short prayers between points. Because this is more than muscle. This is religion dressed as sport. Each bounce of the ball is a heartbeat. Each pass is a chance to delay destiny. Suddenly, a cheer erupts. One of the boys, not the tall one, but a wiry player with a scar along his temple, has hit the ring. Clean shot. The ball sailed through like a bird on a mission. Everyone stands, even you. He doesn't celebrate. He just drops to one knee and bows his head. His teammates lift him, hoist him high. Someone runs to light incense. The priest appears at the edge of the plaza, quiet as a cloud. He doesn't speak, just nods. You feel the shift. This match just became official. The boy with the scar is led away not with chains, but with honor. He walks straight-backed, eyes forward, flanked by drummers and flower-bearers. The crowd parts like water. Khan murmurs, "They say he asked for it, said he saw a vision." You stare after the boy. Not out of fear, not entirely, but with something else. A kind of awe. Because here in your village, people die for meaning, and sometimes they go smiling. You look down at your ink-stained hands, so different from the calloused fists of the players, but maybe, just maybe, equally important. After all, someone has to write the story. Section 8. Healing with Herbs and Smoke. You're sitting on a woven mat outside your grandmother's hut, and your ankle is wrapped in leaves. You didn't twist it during anything impressive, no jungle chase, no heroic ballgame dive. Just a careless step on a loose rock near the maize fields. But your grandmother doesn't care why it happened. She only cares how to fix it. She hums as she works. Not a song exactly, more like a rhythm passed down through breath, not words. Her fingers are gnarled like tree roots, stained from decades of plant sap and smoke. She's wrapped your ankle in crushed leaves, soaked in vinegar, made from wild berries, then bound it with cotton dipped in something that smells like spicy honey and river water. You want to ask what it is, but you already know the answer. It's the good kind, she'll say, the kind that stings a little but works. She leans back and tosses a few leaves into the fire bowl beside her. They don't burn like normal wood. They hiss and curl and send up thick white smoke that smells sharp like citrus and pine and something a little bitter. "Breathe it in," she says. "It'll chase out the swelling." You obey. The smoke curls around your head, tickles your throat, makes your eyes sting. But you stay still. You've seen your cousins resist before, and they always ended up limping longer. Your grandmother reaches into a pouch tied to her sash. Inside are bundles of dried flowers, mushrooms, the color of bruises, folded bark, and what looks like a crushed beetle. She mumbles to herself, picking something small and blue. She crushes it between two flat stones, mixes it with water in a shell bowl, and begins painting small dots on your leg. Every spot, she says, tells the pain where to go. You blink. Go where? Out. Simple, final, no room for doubt. In your village, doctors don't wear white. They wear necklaces of jaguar teeth and robes stained with plant dye. They don't use stethoscopes. They use smoke dreams and memory. Your grandmother isn't the only healer. There are bone setters, birth watchers, blood readers. But she's the oldest, which means her cures work, or at least they've lasted long enough to become tradition. People come to her with fevers, snake bites, curses. They leave with poultices, warnings, and instructions never to whistle at night. You once saw her spit on a rock and bury it beneath a coughing boy's mat. He got better by morning. You asked her how. She said sometimes the earth is angry, sometimes it's just cold. But either way, spitting helps. You didn't ask again. She taught you that not all illness lives in the body. Some hide in the spirit. Some are sent by enemies. Some, worst of all, are self-invited, little grudges turned inward, festering in the heart like mold on maize. That's why she burns copal resin, not just for scent, but to confuse the bad spirits. That way, she says, they lose your scent. Think you're someone else. The smoke swirls thicker now. Your skin tingles, your head feels lighter, like your thoughts are walking away from you. Your grandmother looks pleased. Good. That means it's working. She pulls out a bone needle and scratches a faint mark above your ankle, not deep, just enough to let a drop of blood rise. Then she presses a bit of crushed root onto it and binds the leg again. There, she says. Now it knows you're paying attention. You nod even though you don't fully understand. But that's the way of healing here. You're not meant to understand everything. You're meant to trust. Nearby, another child waits, her turn, eyes wide, arm cradled to her chest. A small bite swells along her wrist. Snake, insect, maybe even spirit. It doesn't matter. She'll be cured the same way with smoke bark ash breath. And when she walks home, the pain will leave her. Or at least that's what people say. You look down at your leg. Already the ache is fading. Not gone, but somehow quieter. Your grandmother wipes her hands on her robe, then lifts a piece of charcoal from the ashes and draws a spiral on the ground between you. Pain, she says, pointing to the center. Movement, she says, tracing the swirl outward. Balance, she says, stopping at the edge. You nod. Then she grins. Also, don't jump on rocks like a dumb monkey. Ah, there it is, the lesson under the lesson. You thank her. She waves you off. Come back tomorrow. And don't scratch the marks. The spirits will get confused. You hobble away, the leaf wrap soft under your steps. The smoke clings to your tunic, your hair, your thoughts. You smell like healing now, like fire and bark and old woman's wisdom. You pass by the plaza. The ball court is empty now, just stone and silence. But for a moment, you imagine the ghost of a game still echoing there. Thump, thump, cheer, silence. And then a new sound, the jungle breathing, your body lighter, your mind quieter. The pain has moved, just enough. And now you know where to find it next time. Section 9. When the priest comes, you don't see the priest arrive. You feel it. It's not in the wind or the sky. It's in the silence that settles suddenly across the village like a cloth dropped over a fire. Conversations fade. Footsteps soften. Even the birds seem to hush, as if they too are watching. You're sitting beneath a caiba tree, carving a pattern into a piece of bark paper, when your cousin whispers, "He's here." No name needed, just he. Everyone knows who. You rise, brush dust from your tunic, stand straighter. The priest wears white, of course, not the dull bone white of your everyday clothes, but a kind of glowing, impossible white, like moonlight pulled into cotton. He walks barefoot, always. You don't know if it's part of the ritual or just habit, but his feet never seem to bleed. He carries a staff carved with serpent heads and wrapped in feathers that still shimmer even in shadow. His face is painted half red, half black, divided cleanly down the middle like night and day caught mid-argument. He says nothing as he moves. He doesn't need to. His silence speaks louder than any drumbeat. Children step aside. Elders bow their heads. A dog lies flat against the dirt tail, twitching once, then still. He walks slowly, methodically, as though counting steps between dimensions. You follow at a distance like everyone else. He stops in front of the plaza's altar, the one used for special rituals, not everyday offerings. It's covered now in fresh flowers, obsidian flakes, and a bowl of cacao so dark it reflects the sky. Two assistants emerge from the temple steps, their faces hidden behind masks shaped like jaguars. They begin to chant. It's not a song. It's a sound low, rhythmic circular, like water hitting stone, like heartbeat inside a cave. The priest raises his staff. The village holds its breath. Today is a cleansing. Not a sacrifice, at least not a visible one. No blood, no blade. This is a spiritual cleansing meant to wipe away misfortune, confusion, and whatever bad dreams have been stalking the maize crop this season. He begins to speak. You don't understand all the words. They're old, more song than sentence. But you catch pieces Cloudbone ancestor forgetting. His voice is like smoke. It doesn't rise, it wraps. A woman steps forward holding her child. The boy is pale and thin, with eyes too wide for his small face. He doesn't cry, just clutches his mother's skirt like it's the last stable thing in his world. The priest kneels before him, dips his fingers into the bowl of cacao, marks the boy's forehead, chest, and feet, whispers something directly into his ear. Then he blows on him, one breath, slow, measured. And just like that, it's done. The boy is lifted back into his mother's arms. She bows, she weeps. The priest moves on. Another comes forward, a man who lost his brother in the forest last moon cycle. He brings a carved idol. The priest accepts. It holds it to the sky, then buries it in the earth beside the altar. Returned, he says. One word, that's all. Each villager offers something, a story, a stone, a feather, a fear. And the priest takes them all one by one, folding them into the rhythm of the ritual. You stand still watching. There's no moment when it ends. It just fades, like mist, like memory. The priest lowers his staff, then sprinkles something from a small pouch into the fire bowl, crushed flowers and ground shell maybe. The smoke changes color, shifts to a blue-gray you've never seen before. He turns and walks back the way he came. No speech, no farewell. Just a figure of myth slipping back into the shade of the temple, leaving the village somehow lighter. As the sun dips lower, the plaza hums again softly like someone waking from a strange dream. The children start to talk. A baby laughs. Someone begins pounding maize. You sit down slowly. Something in your chest feels clearer. Not healed, not whole, but reorganized. Like a knot finally starting to loosen. Khan appears beside you, tossing a pebble into your lap. He didn't choose anyone today. You glance up. Good. He grins. You say that now. Wait until the eclipse. You nod, half listening. Because in the back of your mind, the priest's words still echo. Not the words you heard, but the ones he whispered into the boy's ear. You'll never know what he said. And maybe that's the point. Section 10. Animal Spirits and Omens. It starts with a bird. A low cry, sharp and sudden, cuts across the treetops as you step out of your house. You look up not because you want to, but because something inside you tells you to. A great black owl sits on the roof of your neighbor's hut. It doesn't blink, doesn't flinch, just stares as if it knows more about you than you ever told anyone. Khan is already watching it. Bad omen, he says, voice flat. You nod. You've heard the same stories. In your village, animals don't just exist. They mean. They signal. They warn. The owl means death is close. Not always literal, but close enough to make people sweep the doorway twice and sleep with obsidian under their pillows. The dog that howls at dusk. It's not just hungry, it's speaking with the ancestors. The frog that croaks before rain isn't just predicting weather. It's reminding you that the gods still control the clouds. Even insects whisper if you know how to listen. Your grandmother once said that the entire jungle is a language, and humans are the only ones who forget how to speak it. This morning, no one speaks above a whisper. The owl stays until noon. Then it flies off silent as a shadow. By evening, the village midwife passes away in her sleep. No one is surprised. Not because she was ill, she wasn't. Not because she was old, she was, but strong. They're not surprised because the owl came first. That's the logic of life here. The natural world speaks before it acts. After her death, the signs multiply. Ants marching in circles near the temple. A snake curled on the threshold of the scribe school. Even the moon seems wrong, too red, too close. The priest says nothing, but the villagers begin to cleanse their homes with herbs, whispering apologies to unseen things. You do too, just in case. The next day, a man finds a baby jaguar cub at the edge of the maize field. It's mewling, hungry, alone. He carries it back to the village in a woven basket wrapped in cloth. People gather around. Some say it's a blessing, a sign of new beginnings. Others say, no, it's bait. That its mother is nearby watching, waiting, testing. The priest arrives just as arguments begin. He looks at the cub, then he looks at the crowd. No one touches it, he says. He takes the cub and disappears into the jungle. That night, drums beat softly at the edge of the temple. You don't know what happens. No one does. But the next morning the basket is found empty, resting at the foot of the ceiba tree. A single feather, too big to be a bird's, lies inside. Khan shrugs. Probably a spirit. You believe him, because in this place the line between animal and God is not a line at all. It's a thread, frayed, moving. You remember your own spirit animal test 2 summers ago. The priest gave you a piece of obsidian and told you to sleep in the temple courtyard. That night, you dreamed of a spider weaving words in the sky. No one told you what it meant. You talk too much, your grandmother said, laughing. Or not enough, your mother whispered later. You've watched the signs ever since. Sometimes they're obvious, an eagle circling during a funeral. Sometimes they're stranger, like the time every frog vanished from the stream the night before the big storm. Not all omens are warnings. Some are gentle. A deer sighting on your birthday. A hummingbird circling your head when you were sick. A turtle that refused to leave your garden, and then your father returned from war alive. But most omens walk the tightrope between beauty and dread. Tonight, the jungle is louder than usual. Crickets scream, birds mutter. Even the wind seems confused, moving in every direction at once. You lie in your hammock, eyes open, ears straining. And then a rustle, low, near the window. You freeze. A pair of yellow eyes watches you from the shadows. Not human, not afraid. They blink once, then vanish. You don't scream. You don't move. You just whisper, I saw you, and hope that's enough. In the morning, you find a mark on your doorstep, 3 lines carved into the wood. You show your father. He nods, doesn't speak, just places a bowl of cacao beside the door and sprinkles ash around the house. For protection, for respect, for balance. Because the world here is not yours. You borrow it from animals, from stars, from things that don't use names. And if you pay attention, they just might let you stay. Section 11. Blood for the gods. The gods don't want gold. They don't care about gems or statues or piles of maize. They want what's alive. They want what flows. They want blood. You've known this since you were a child, even before you understood what blood really was. You saw it during the festivals, the red streak across the forehead of the priest, the stained cloths on the altar, the soft hiss of the fire as drops were flicked into its mouth. Today is a ceremony day. The sun has risen perfectly in line with the eastern stela, casting a beam of light straight through the temple gate. This doesn't happen often, only a few days each year. And when it does, the gods are said to be watching directly. Which means offerings. You walk to the plaza early, barefoot, and quiet. So does everyone else. No one runs. No one talks loudly. The air is thick, not with humidity, but with expectation, like the jungle itself is holding its breath. At the center of the temple courtyard stands the bloodstone, a low altar carved with serpent heads and jaguar paws. You've touched it before, warm even in shadow, slick in certain places where centuries of offerings have darkened the stone. Today you don't touch it. Today it's not yours to approach. The chosen one stands beside the priest, a young man, maybe 17. His arms are painted with red spirals. His face is calm, too calm, like someone who's already dreaming. He's not being sacrificed, not fully. Today is auto-sacrifice, a ritual in which the devotee offers their own blood to the gods, not to die, just to give, a gift that stings. He kneels. A bowl is placed in front of him filled with leaves, flowers, and a black liquid that smells like iron and smoke. The priest steps forward with the tool, a stingray spine, long, sharp, polished to a sheen. The boy breathes deeply, then bites a piece of wood, clenching it between his teeth. The priest cuts, not a slash, a pull. Through the tongue. You flinch before you can stop yourself. You've heard about this, seen drawings, but watching it happen makes your stomach twist. The boy does not cry out. His eyes roll back slightly. A thin line of blood drips into the bowl. The priest murmurs something, a prayer, a name, maybe just a sigh. Then he dips a strip of bark paper into the bowl and sets it on fire. The smoke rises, straight up. Not even the wind dares interrupt it. People begin to hum. A deep, low sound, not a melody but a vibration, like the earth itself, is joining in. You feel it in your chest, in your legs, in your teeth. Then the priest turns and calls for more. Others step forward, not forced, not begged, volunteers. A woman slices the lobe of her ear. A boy scrapes the back of his hand. A grandmother pulls a thorn from her necklace and presses it gently into the skin above her knee. Each drop of blood is sacred, each pain a message, a reminder that being alive is not enough, you must participate. You glance at your own wrist. Your veins look blue under the skin. You're not required to give blood today. Not yet, but one day you will. And when that day comes, you'll be expected to do it without fear, without hesitation, without pride. The gods don't care if you're brave. They care if you follow through. The priest lifts the bowl one final time. The blood inside steams slightly. He pours it at the base of the ceiba tree where roots, like thick fingers, disappear into the earth. For the ancestors, he says, for balance. The crowd bows. The ceremony is over. But the memory lingers. You can still smell the smoke, still see the curve of the stingray spine, still hear the small sound the boy made, not a cry, not quite. Later, you ask your mother why we give blood when there are other things to offer. She doesn't hesitate, because it's the only thing the gods don't already have. You sit with that thought a long time. That night, as you lay in your hammock, the stars seem sharper than usual, like obsidian chips thrown across the sky. You trace a constellation with your finger. The scorpion. They say it guards the underworld. They say it once drank the blood of a god and lived to tell the tale. You wonder if you ever bleed for the gods. Will they listen? Or will they just take? Section 12. Building a temple. You don't know when it began, only that it's always been there, rising slowly beside the village, like a mountain built by hands. The temple is not finished, not even close. But every season, every cycle, it grows a little taller, a little sharper, a little more certain. Today, you're told it's your turn. Not to carve or design, that's the job of trained stonemasons and astronomer priests, but to carry, to lift, to sweat. You're handed a thick strap of woven agave and shown how to loop it around your forehead, then anchor it to a stone slab half the size of your torso. It's rough, uneven, and smells faintly of dust and bat droppings. You flinch the first time you touch it, not from the weight, but from the knowledge that it's older than you, maybe even older than your father. You're not alone. Half the village is here. Men, boys, even some women, all bent like question marks, hauling stone up an incline smoothed by years of bare feet and spilled sweat. There's no shouting, no barking of orders, just breath, grunts, the thud of feet against packed earth, the low hum of someone singing in rhythm one of the old work songs, wordless but anchored in memory. The sun beats down, the dust rises, your back aches before the second trip. But no one complains. That's not how this works. Building a temple isn't about speed. It's about rhythm, about endurance, about becoming invisible so something greater can appear. You follow the older boys, counting your steps, gripping the stone with fingers gone raw from friction. The strap tightens against your temples like a punishment. You blink sweat from your eyes, not wanting to seem weak. Not today. Not in front of the priest. Along the path, elders place jars of chaya tea and bits of roasted squash. Not for feasting, just enough to keep you upright. A healer walks among the carriers, whispering blessings over bruised shoulders and smearing crushed mint behind ears to keep minds sharp. The air smells like limestone burned sap and something older, something metallic and sour that always seems to cling to sacred places. You reach the base of the stairs and begin the real work, lifting the slab inch by inch, up narrow steps carved into the earth itself. Each step feels steeper than the last. Each breath feels thinner. The priest watches from the top, not saying a word, his white robe fluttering in the breeze like smoke. You can feel his gaze like heat between your shoulder blades. You wonder if he sees you struggling. You hope he does. You hope he knows you haven't dropped it, haven't faltered. Yet. Near the halfway point, you pause. Not to rest, there is no resting, but to adjust your grip. The strap digs into your forehead like a blade, and your knees tremble from the weight. Someone ahead of you slips, a shout, a stumble. But no crash. The line adjusts, supports, continues. No one falls. You're taught to catch before you stop, to bend together, because if one drops their burden, 10 more must lift it. At the top, you set your stone where instructed, next to hundreds of others, each one almost identical. And yet, you know which one is yours. You'll remember its texture, its chipped corner, the little streak of red you left when your knuckle split open against its edge. The mason nods once. Doesn't thank you. Doesn't have to. The stone is your thanks. The priest steps forward and marks it with ash and honey, whispering something only the gods are meant to hear. You step back and look up. The temple looms not yet majestic, but undeniable. Tier by tier it climbs toward the sky, its stairways steep enough to make gods look down and nod. You think of all the bodies this place will one day hold. Dancers, priests, maybe even sacrifices. You think of the drum beats that will echo off these stones, the incense that will curl between its steps, the eyes that will stare up in awe and fear and wonder. And you realize you're not just building something. You're becoming part of it. Your hands, your blood, your tired legs, they're all being written into this place, one stone at a time. You think of your great-grandfather who helped dig the first foundation trench, back when this was just an outline, marked in charcoal and prayer. You think of your uncle who fell from the second tier and broke his leg, but returned the next season to lay water jars for the masons. This isn't just a building. It's inheritance, memory, pressed into limestone. As you walk back down, empty-strapped and sore, the priest finally speaks. Just one sentence. It will remember you. And somehow, that's enough. That night, you dream of the temple rising on its own, the stones leaping into place, like birds landing on branches, and in your dream, you are standing at the very top, not looking up for once, but down, and the whole village is below you, blurred like a painting seen through tears. Section 13. Night sounds of the jungle. The village at night is not quiet, not truly, not ever. When the sun dips behind the canopy and the last cook-fire smoke drifts lazily through the palm leaves, a different kind of sound rises, not human, not soft but alive in a way that touches your skin before your ears. You lie in your hammock, blanket pulled to your chin, eyes open, breath still. Around you the jungle breathes with you. It clicks, it hisses, it hums. Crickets begin, first always, first an army of tiny instruments vibrating in rhythm with the stars, then frogs deep-throated and lazy as if singing from the bottom of their dreams. Something heavier rustles in the brush beyond the houses, maybe a tapir, maybe a jaguar, maybe something with no name at all. You try not to imagine claws. You try not to imagine teeth. You focus instead on the wind slipping through the thatch roof, on the familiar squeak of your neighbor's hammock rope, on the occasional cough of an elder 3 houses down. Somewhere nearby, a baby stirs and cries out just once, then silence. The kind of silence that folds around you like cloth. You turn over slowly, letting the hammock sway. Through the open window, you can see the top of the temple, glowing pale under the moon like a sleeping god carved from bone. The drums have stopped, but the memory of their beat still echoes in your chest. Insects crawl across the floor. You hear their legs ticking over wood and stone, harmless mostly, though now and then someone wakes with a swollen arm and a tale of venom and dreams. The healers say that what bites in the dark may not always be of this world. Your grandmother once said the jungle talks most clearly at night, that if you lie still enough long enough, you'll hear your own name spoken by something without a mouth. You once believed she was joking, but tonight, as the sounds swell and pulse and ripple, you aren't so sure. The air smells like damp leaves and warm dust. Somewhere a bird shrieks sharp and sudden, and then is gone. You flinch instinctively, not because it's loud, but because it's known. That sound, the elders say, means someone is walking where they shouldn't. Someone is being watched. You hope it's not you. You hear the soft flutter of wings, the heavy crack of a branch, the distant rumble of thunder that hasn't yet decided if it will become a storm. You count your breaths. You trace the patterns of sound like constellations. One by one, you begin to name them: cricket, frog, night, bird, rain, crow, wind, in dry banana leaves, old man's cough, the sigh of someone dreaming. It becomes a lullaby, not made for comfort but for witness. The jungle does not care if you sleep. It sings either way. And maybe that's the point. You are not the center here. You are not even a guest. You are a thin thread woven into the vast cloth of this living, restless night. And tonight, that cloth is shifting. You hear a voice, maybe your own, maybe not, hum a tune you don't remember learning. Something about rivers, or roots, or loss. It fades before you reach the second verse. Your hammock creaks. The wind picks up slightly. The world sways with you, and just before your eyes finally close, just before sleep folds over you, like leaves curling in rain, you hear a sound so faint, it might be imagined, a whispered name, not shouted, not spoken, just remembered. Section 14. The day of market. You wake to the sound of shouting, but not in fear and excitement. Today is market day. You roll from your hammock feet, hitting the packed dirt floor, already warm from morning sun, and rush outside where the entire village has begun to shift like a stirred beehive. Every few weeks the surrounding villages gather here, or you go to them to trade, to gossip, to eat, to perform. It's not just commerce, it's ceremony. The path to the central plaza is already crowded. Traders have arrived early, their woven baskets piled high on their backs or slung over tired mules. You see a man from the lakeside village unloading jars of fish paste. A woman from the hills fans her spice bundles with a palm leaf, sending the scent of roasted chili and ground cacao into the air. The colors hit you first: brilliant reds of cochineal-dyed cloth, deep purples from crushed berries, greens so bright they seem unnatural wrapped around tunics, bags, and headscarves. You spot a boy your age selling carved obsidian knives, each one catching the sun like frozen lightning. You run your hand over one and shiver. Too sharp to be a toy. Your mother hands you a pouch of goods to trade: a small bundle of tamales, 2 gourd bowls, and a string of shell beads you helped polish last week. She gives you a look that means, choose wisely, and then disappears into the crowd. The plaza fills quickly. A group of musicians sets up near the temple steps, flutes, drums, and the soft rattle of seed pods tied to their ankles. Their song isn't for dancing, it's for remembering. You hear a rhythm that sounds like your uncle's funeral, then another that reminds you of the rain ceremony last spring. Music here is not background, it's history you can hum. You pass a vendor selling dried insects and honey, another with clay figurines of gods with too many arms and faces, and a third with bundles of dyed cotton arranged like flower petals. You stop at a stonecutter's stall and admire his amulets, small jade animals strung on leather cords. He sees you looking and picks one up. This one keeps jaguars away, he says. Unless the jaguar is part of your soul. Then it just keeps it close. You ask how much. He eyes your shell beads. 2 strings, he says. You only have 1. You walk away. You trade a tamale for a handful of smoked fish. A bowl for a small pouch of dried mushrooms your father likes. You're about to trade the last item, the shell string, when a girl grabs your arm. Not hard, just firmly enough to get your attention. She points to your pouch, then to her table where she's selling tiny pouches of ash resin and flower powder. Perfume of a kind. Her eyes are dark and serious. She points again. You trade. No words are spoken. You tie the pouch to your sash and breathe in its scent, sweet and strange like memory, pressed into cloth. The sun climbs higher. Sweat soaks every tunic. Someone releases a parrot that shrieks as it circles the plaza. A dog steals a fish and is chased by 3 laughing children. The musicians shift tempo, and now people are dancing slow steps, arms raised hips, swinging like reeds in water. You catch sight of the priest at the edge of the plaza, standing still eyes scanning the crowd, not judging, just watching, like a god pretending to be human. You wonder what he sees. By midday, the trading slows. People sit in circles sharing fruit and stories. An old woman tells the story of a jaguar who fell in love with a moonbeam. A boy brags about outrunning a snake in the cassava fields. You don't speak. You just listen. That's your role today. You learn who fought with whom, whose roof collapsed, whose cousin dreamed of a fire. These are the headlines of your world. As the sun begins to dip, traders pack their baskets, sling their loads, and begin the long walk home. You help carry bundles for an elder, and in return, she gives you a small piece of dried maize cake wrapped in banana leaf. For the night, she says, so you don't dream of hunger. You nod and bow your head. You tuck it into your pouch with the perfume. The plaza empties. The musicians play one last slow song, a farewell to the day, to the stories, to the strangers who feel like family for just a few hours. You return home tired but full, not just in the belly, but in the bones. And as you sit by the fire listening to your mother sort through the goods, you open the perfume pouch again and breathe deep. It smells like the market, like trade, like drums, like strangers, and gods, and shell beads, and jade jaguars, like a day worth remembering. Section 15. Farming with the Moon. You rise before the sun does, when the village is still wrapped in blue mist, and the trees drip last night's dreams onto the earth. Today you go to the milpa, the field carved from forest, not with machines or fire, but with time, sweat, and the blessings of the moon. Farming here is not just work. It's conversation. Between you and the earth. Between the earth and the sky. Between the sky and whatever God is still paying attention. You grab your digging stick and follow your father down the path, lined with banana leaves and chirping insects, your footsteps silent on the damp ground. He doesn't speak. You don't ask questions. This part of the day is sacred, not because it's formal, but because it belongs to the soil. The field opens up, suddenly a clearing in the jungle's chest. Green shoots poke through dark earth. Maize mostly, but also squash and beans, each one growing alongside the others, like siblings who've learned to share the same bed. Your father kneels and touches the dirt. Then he looks up at the sky. He's not checking the weather. He's checking the moon, waning. 2 days past full. He nods. We plant again next week, he says. Let the roots rest now. You've learned that planting isn't about the calendar your scribes use. It's about the tug in the belly of the sky, the slant of shadow on stone, the way dogs behave at dusk. If the moon is wrong, the seeds sulk. If the moon is right, they leap from the dirt like they've been waiting their whole lives. You begin your chores, weeding, gathering fallen branches, checking for pests. Some plants are too quiet, others too loud. Your father teaches you to listen, to feel the mood of a vine by how it curls, to taste the bitterness of a leaf and know if it's afraid. Around midday, the sun scorches the back of your neck. You wipe sweat from your eyes and take shelter under a crooked tree where someone has left a gourd of water buried in the shade. It's still cool, still clean. You drink slowly, watching butterflies swarm over a wildflower patch as if they too are farmers in their own way. Your father joins you. He smells like earth and salt and old stories. He points to the tree above. That one grew fast, he says. We buried your brother's umbilical cord there. You nod. You've heard the tale, but today it feels new. Like the tree is whispering it again, just for you. After the break, you dig new holes shallow soft, not planting yet, just making space. As you work, a red bird lands nearby and watches. Your father smiles, a good sign. That one only shows up when the soil is ready. You believe him, not because it makes sense, but because it feels right. The rest of the afternoon passes in rhythm. Dig, pull pile, pause, sip, breathe. You hum a song your grandmother taught you, something about the moon's appetite and how it eats days when it's angry. You don't know what it means. You don't need to. Farming isn't just labor. It's prophecy. A wrong move here echoes across seasons. The gods don't curse carelessness, they ignore it. And that's worse. At sunset, you and your father walk back slowly, baskets heavy with greens, and tubers, your hands streaked with dirt and sweat. The sky turns orange, then lavender, then something too dark to name. When you reach the village, your mother waits with a bowl of tamale dough and a grin that says she's already heard from the trees how the day went. You eat in silence, legs, aching, heart steady. That night, you look up at the moon again, and it seems closer than before, like it saw your work and approved. You fall asleep with the smell of soil in your hair and the shape of furrows still pressed into your palms, already dreaming of the sprouts to come. Section 16. Tales around the fire. Night falls without asking. One moment, the village glows gold beneath a sleepy sky, and the next, everything is blue shadow and ember light. After supper, the hearth is stirred again, not for cooking but for gathering. This is the quietest moment of the day, when no one rushes, no one shouts, and the fire becomes the oldest voice in the village. You settle onto a woven mat, legs tucked beneath you, hands warm from the clay cup of cacao your mother passes down. It's bitter, earthy, and thick enough to coat your tongue with stories. Around the fire, the elders gather first. Then come the children, curling up like kittens. You always sit beside your grandmother because she doesn't tell the longest stories, but she tells the ones you remember. Tonight, the sparks leap like messengers into the dark, and the smoke curls upward as if it's listening. She begins slowly, without warning. Once, she says, before the gods had names, there was only sky and sea. The children lean closer. Even the teens, who pretend not to care, inch toward the edge of the light. She speaks in rhythm, her voice like wind through dry leaves. Her hands move as she talks, tracing invisible glyphs in the air. The story is old, you've heard it before, and yet tonight it feels different. In it, the gods shape people from mud who melt, then from wood who forget. Only when they crush maize and mix it with water do people form, with memory and hunger and dreams. You glance at your hands, and for a moment they do look like dough. Another elder jumps in with a tale of the trickster twins who played ball in the underworld and made the gods laugh so hard they couldn't punish them. He bangs his gourd against the fire ring for emphasis, and someone giggles, not just a child. Your uncle shares a ghost story, next one, about the spirit of a drowned boy who rides the river on a jaguar's back. You feel the hairs on your arm stand up. Across the circle, someone coughs. Someone else shifts. But no one leaves. Because the fire is not just heat, it's memory. And the stories told here are not entertainment. They're tools. They shape you. They warn you. They remind you where not to go during a red moon and why you must never whistle into a well. They tell you how your people came from stars and corn and why you carry both in your blood. Your grandmother finishes with a lullaby, a soft chant about a girl who became a hummingbird and sips sorrow from the lips of the wind. No one speaks for a long moment. Only the fire crackles, as if chewing over the words. A baby falls asleep in someone's lap. A dog circles 3 times and collapses. You look up at the stars, so many, too many, and somehow they all feel closer after a good story. Someone tosses a handful of herbs into the flames, and they flare green for a second, casting strange shadows that flicker like dancing spirits against the house walls. A breeze picks up. Your grandmother yawns. The fire shrinks. One by one, people rise, whispering goodnight, stepping carefully around the glowing coals, like they're sacred, which they are. You linger, just a little, long enough to hear your grandfather mutter something to the fire, a thank you, maybe, or an apology, or a promise. You're not sure, but the fire seems to understand. You head home, smoke in your hair, stories in your bones, and the taste of ancient laughter still warm in your mouth. You fall asleep, knowing that if the stars ever go out, the fire will remember them for you. Section 17. Preparing for an eclipse. The moon has been strange lately. Thicker, brighter, then suddenly pale like a dying fruit. The priests say it is coming, the eclipse, and already the village shifts like an animal sensing a storm. You wake to a sky that feels nervous too. Still too blue, and everyone is speaking in softer tones, as if sound itself might trigger something. An eclipse is not a show to watch. It's a moment to survive. The elders say it's when the sky forgets its duty, when the jaguar swallows the moon, and the gods blink too long. Your mother hangs red cloth at the door. Your aunt smears charcoal above every window. These are not decorations, these are defenses. You help your father gather bitter herbs and scatter them along the threshold, while he murmurs a chant you've never heard him speak aloud before. The air smells of ash sweat and something sour like fear hiding in the leaves. The marketplace is closed today. No trade, no singing. Even the children play quietly, tossing seeds in silence, eyes flicking toward the heavens every few minutes as if expecting it to crack. The priest passes through the village without speaking. His robe has changed now, black with silver thread stitched with the shape of stars falling like rain. He carries no staff, just a bowl of copal and a folded piece of obsidian that catches the sun in sharp flashes. He does not look at anyone. He doesn't need to. We all know. The eclipse is the closest the world comes to ending without actually falling apart. You remember the last one barely. You were young, too young, but you remember the silence, how even the dogs lay flat and didn't breathe. You remember your grandmother holding your face and saying, "Close your eyes," when the moon starts to disappear. Or it will remember your gaze. You believed her then. You believe her now. The preparations grow stranger as the sun climbs. A woman weaves cords of bone-white thread and ties them around the wrists of children. Men smear their foreheads with maize flour and speak only in questions. A girl sings a song that loops endlessly, meant to keep the stars awake. You help string black feathers over the altar. You've been taught they confuse the jaguar. Trick its hunger. Make it think the moon has already been eaten. By midday, the shadows have grown too sharp. The light feels wrong, like it's been filtered through a memory. You sit near the fire, not speaking, not blinking. Your brother fidgets beside you. Your mother hushes him with a touch. The priest appears again, this time at the temple steps. He speaks one word now, and the village moves as one. You scatter ash, you kneel, you chant, you don't look up. The wind dies, the birds vanish, the light begins to bend. You hear it before you see it. A gasp from someone behind you, a baby's soft whimper, the sound of fabric tightening around a wrist. Then the world begins to dim, slowly. Not like sunset, like forgetting. You feel it before you see it, the moon slipping behind the shadow, swallowed not by night, but by something older. You press your forehead to the ground. The priest's voice rises in chant. It's not loud, but it vibrates in your teeth, like the earth itself is humming through him. You don't dare open your eyes, but you feel it. The hush, the pause, the moment when the sky forgets to breathe, and then the birds scream. It only lasts a breath, maybe two, but it feels longer. It feels like the gods are holding your village in their hands, weighing it. Then the light returns, first as a glimmer, then a glow, then a flood. You open your eyes, slowly, cautiously. The world looks the same, but it doesn't feel the same. The priest lowers his arms. The jaguar has left the moon behind. The eclipse is over. You rise, legs trembling. You hear someone cry. Not from sorrow, from release. Around you, people begin to move again, cautiously at first. Someone laughs too loudly. Another throws a handful of maize into the air. The village exhales. The sky remembers. The gods, for now, have spared you. Section 18. Saying goodbye to the dead death. In your village doesn't arrive with sirens or silence. It comes like mist, soft and inevitable, slipping through the thatch roof and curling around sleeping limbs before dawn. This morning the drums do not play. The fire is not lit. The plaza is quiet, but not still. People move with reverence, with slowness, as if afraid to disturb the line between breath and memory. The old healer has died. She was not your relative, not directly, but she was everyone's grandmother in some way. The one who touched fevers with cool fingers and whispered secrets to bones. The one who knew which mushrooms spoke truth and which ones only lied beautifully. You helped carry her herbs once. She called you child of the wind and pressed a dry leaf into your palm, saying it would protect your dreams. You never knew what kind of plant it was, but you kept it anyway, tucked beneath your hammock mat, like a quiet talisman. Now she lies in the center of the plaza, wrapped in white cotton arms, crossed eyes, closed her mouth, relaxed as if mid-song. Flowers surround her marigold orchid blood blossom petals, falling like prayers, and perfume rising like breath from the earth. A bowl of cacao sits beside her head. A figurine of the maize god rests at her feet. She will need both where she's going, nourishment and memory. You've seen death before, but this feels different. Like the village itself is holding its breath. Like the trees are listening. The priest kneels beside the body, drawing glyphs in ash on the ground. Each one means something: light passage, memory, silence. He doesn't speak them aloud. Speaking might call her back. And this is not a day for summoning. It is a day for letting go. You sit among the others, head, bowed hands, clasp the morning air thick with the scent of smoke and crushed flowers. Someone begins to hum a soft, low melody rising and falling like a boat on the river. It is not a sad song. Not entirely. It tells of a woman who became a hummingbird who flew beyond the trees and found the sun's resting place. You close your eyes and listen. It wraps around you like old cloth. The ceremony begins. One by one, people bring offerings: a lock of hair, a carving, a handful of corn, a strip of red thread. You carry your leaf, the one she gave you. You lay it gently by her hand and whisper, "Thank you. That is enough. That is everything." Her sons lift her gently. The white cotton creaks as they rise. The procession begins slow, steady, weaving through the village like a river of silence. At the edge of the plaza, a small girl tosses petals in the dirt, one at a time, as if timing her steps to the rhythm of the dead. The path to the burial grove is lined with ceiba trees. Their roots twist above the earth like sleeping serpents. This place is not hidden, but it is protected. The soil is soft, the air is still. The only sound is the shuffle of feet and the soft hiss of someone weeping through their nose. The old healer will rest beside her mother and her mother's mother, you know, because their stones are marked with tiny carved herbs, mint for clarity, basil for guidance, worm seed for strength. Each grave here tells a story, not with names, but with symbols. A fish for a fisherman, a jaguar paw for a warrior, a maize stalk for a mother of many. When they lower her into the earth, the sky seems to pause. A breeze holds its breath. The clouds stop moving. Or maybe it's just your eyes, too wide, too full. The priest sprinkles ash over the body. A helper pours honey water into the ground. Someone else lays a length of cotton thread, uncut, unknotted, a symbol of the road ahead. No one claps, no one calls. But someone hums again. The same melody, a thread unbroken. The earth closes above her gently, like a lid placed on a pot too sacred to boil. You place your palm on the soil before you go. It feels warm, not from sun, from memory. The walk back is quiet, but it's a new kind of quiet, not heavy, not empty, more like a hush after a lullaby. That night, someone lights a fire in the plaza. Not for cooking, not for warmth, but for story. The children gather. An elder clears their throat. She once cured a man just by singing, they say. She knew the words that made the fever afraid. Another adds, she saw the eclipse once and didn't blink. She said the moon blinked instead. Someone else says she talked to snakes. And someone else says she never lied except to death. And then everyone laughs, even the ones who are still crying. You sit and listen, sipping warm cacao, the stars blinking overhead like tired eyes. You feel her somewhere close, in the smoke, in the song, in the rustle of the palm fronds that never seem to sleep. When you finally curl into your hammock, you find the old leaf again. It's curled dry and brittle, but it smells the same, like crushed time and quiet strength. You hold it in your hand as you drift off, and you dream of her. Standing by the river, smiling arms full of herbs, humming something too old to name, but too familiar to forget. She says nothing, just nods. And you wake, knowing she has found the road. The gods will guide her now. And you will carry the rest. Section 19. The Arrival of Strangers. You hear them before you see them, the distant crunch of feet on dry leaves, the slow creak of wooden wheels, the call of a bird that doesn't belong to this forest. Strangers are coming? And everything changes when strangers come. The village feels it immediately. Dogs bark low and uncertain. Children are pulled back into houses. Smoke rises from kitchens, but no one stirs the pots. The priest stands still in the plaza, eyes fixed on the tree line. He doesn't blink. He doesn't breathe. You stand beside your cousin, holding your breath too. You've seen travelers before, traders from the highlands, messengers from the coast, hunters with painted faces who speak in riddles. But this is different. You can feel it in the ground. The footsteps are too slow, too heavy. The birds are too quiet. And when they emerge from the trees, you understand why. They wear metal, shining, creaking, reflecting sunlight like water. They are taller than anyone you've ever seen. Their skin pale, their eyes narrow and sharp. One of them rides a beast unlike any animal in your forest, long-legged, snorting with hooves that strike the earth like drums. The people around you whisper the word deer. But no deer ever looked like this. No deer ever carried a man like a throne. The strangers stop just beyond the plaza. They don't speak your language. They point, they look, they smile, but not like friends. The kind of smile that weighs, measures, counts. One of them steps forward, holds up a shiny circle, and mutters a sound. A greeting maybe, or a warning. No one moves. Then the priest steps forward, alone, barefoot, cloaked in white. He raises his hand in peace palm, open fingers steady. The strangers watch him. One says something to another, who writes quickly on folded paper. Another draws a shape in the dirt. A sun, perhaps, or a cross, or both. The priest kneels and draws a glyph beside it, the eye of the storm god. The strangers frown. They don't understand. You want to run. You want to see. You want to disappear. All at once, your cousin grips your arm. Don't speak, he whispers. They might think it's permission. The priest gestures toward the temple, then toward the sky. The strangers look up. One removes a strange tube from his belt and lifts it to his eye, staring at the sun. Your people watch in silence. The air is tight, like just before an eclipse. The strangers stay only a little while. They don't trade. They don't sit. They don't touch the food offered to them. One of them draws pictures on parchment of your temple, your plaza, your people, as if collecting your life like trophies. Then they turn back into the jungle, leaving the scent of leather iron and unknowable desire. No one speaks for hours after they go. That night, the fire burns lower than usual. The songs are quieter. The stories stop before the endings. The priest says nothing, just watches the flames, as if trying to read something buried inside. Your grandmother spits into the fire and says the gods will test us. Your father sharpens a blade he hasn't touched in years. You lie in your hammock, eyes wide, the image of the metal men glowing behind your eyelids like after-images of the sun. You wonder if they will come back. You wonder what they want. You wonder if they even saw you. You remember the way the one on the beast looked through you, not at you, but past you, like you were already gone. You hold your breath and listen to the night sounds. But they sound different now, like something has changed in the rhythm of the world, like the story is shifting, and you are too small to stop it. Section 20. The last morning before change. The sky doesn't look different, not at first. The birds still call. The mist still lifts in gentle curls above the river. The sun still rises slowly over the eastern trees, painting the leaves gold and green. But you feel it, the knowing. Today is not like the days before. It might look the same, might smell of charcoal and wet maize and wood smoke, but something beneath it has shifted. You rise quietly, not wanting to wake the others, and slip outside barefoot. The earth is damp and cool, and the dew soaks your soles as you walk towards the edge of the fields. The milpa is still. The vines curl sleepily. The beans hug the stalks. But you don't come here to weed or plant. You come to breathe, to think, to remember what it felt like before metal glinted through the trees, before strangers with sharp eyes and sharper smiles stepped into your world and wrote it down like it was theirs. The elders say they won't return soon. But you don't believe that. The gods are quiet lately. The dreams are stranger. Last night you dreamed of the sky cracking, of a fire that didn't burn wood, of maize turning to ash in your hands. Your grandmother says dreams are only dangerous when they stay with you past breakfast. This one still clings to your ribs. You walk to the river and sit on the flat stone your cousin calls the sky seat. From here, you can see the temple rising above the tree line. Strong, beautiful, but smaller than you remember. You used to think it touched the clouds. Now it seems less like a ladder to the gods and more like a question waiting for an answer. Around you, the village stirs. Fires flicker to life. Children yawn. Roosters crow. Normal sounds. Familiar rhythms. But the drums don't play. The priest doesn't appear. The smoke from the temple smells different today. Not copal. Not maize. Something bitter. You hear a whisper. Someone nearby speaking softly, "They will come again." You don't look to see who said it. You just nod. Because it's true. And when they do, the village will have to choose what to forget and what to keep, what to show and what to bury. You walk back slowly past the place where the healer was buried, past the court where boys no longer play, past the market stalls, still packed with salt and thread and stories. Your mother hands you a bowl of warm atoll. You drink it without speaking. She doesn't ask where you've been. She doesn't have to. Everyone knows where we go when we're searching for what still belongs to us. You see Kaan, by the fire, carving again. Not a god this time, not an animal, but a face. Your face. He looks up and grins just barely. Someone has to remember, he says. And you laugh, not because it's funny, but because it's true. You sit beside him. The fire crackles. Somewhere in the trees, a bird sings a note you don't recognize, a new song, or an old one that hasn't been sung for a long, long time. The last morning before change doesn't scream. It doesn't break things loudly. It hums, it waits, and you, like your people, listen carefully, deeply, with the full weight of everything that has ever been and might still be. And you whisper one word, not to the sky, not to the gods, not even to yourself, just into the air, ready. So, my friend, here we are. The fire has faded, the stories have been told, and the stars above your hammock now blink slower, steadier, like they too are growing tired. You've walked through the jungle paths of an ancient Maya village, listened to the rhythm of drums, and crickets breathed in the sacred smoke of rituals, and felt the weight of stone on your shoulders and memory in your bones. You've heard the whispers of jaguar priests, the laughter around evening fires, and the silence that follows an eclipse. You've met the old healer who spoke with leaves, watched the sky shift with omens, and sat still as strangers arrived with silver eyes and thunder in their hands. And yet, through it all, you remained, quiet, watching, feeling. Because that's what memory does. It lingers. It rests inside your chest like a sleeping god. It waits for silence so it can speak. The village you visited tonight may be gone. The temple stones may crumble. The paths may vanish beneath roots and vines. But the people, their voices, their breath, their rituals, they still exist, in stories, in stars, and maybe now in your dreams. So as you lie back now, your blanket pulled to your chin, the hum of distant frogs cradling you, and the wind tracing soft lines along your skin, I ask only one thing: rest. Let the night carry you like a canoe on a calm river. Let the voices fade into quiet. Let your breath match the pulse of the jungle. And sleep well, traveler. May your dreams be gentle, your body light, and your heart steady. Tomorrow will come, but for now, the night is yours. Good night, sweet dreams. See you in the next story.